What I really like to share is that we come from far, right? 10 years ago, this is the 10th anniversary. 10 years ago, company community relations, nobody really knew how to do it, who to do it with, where, how, and you had a mine manager, an oil manager, and his wife or her husband would say, $500,000 to the local orphanage because that's a good thing to do. Today, we've moved on. We've learned a tremendous amount. We have the IFC performance standards, we have guidelines, we have workshops, we have consultants. We now know how to get it right, what to do with regards to engagement, resettlement, acquisition, land acquisition, things like that. But we still see many issues. And the question really is, after all these 10 years, we now move from not really knowing how to do it to knowing how to do it, but the effectiveness is still kind of lacking. And what I've learned, probably the biggest lesson I've learned over the last 10 years, is to really focus on getting the basics right? Pay your contractors on time. Hire in a way that is seen as fair and transparent. If people have a question, respond to them. Engage on an ongoing basis, not only when there's a crisis. And I often feel that we focus on the next big thing, forgetting the basics. And if you look at why company community relations are often strained, it's because we didn't get the basics right. That's the biggest lesson learned, at least for me. Now, I would like to highlight that with an example. Because the simple way to do it is to have an integrated approach. We talk a lot about it, but what does it really mean? And the example is from Saudi Arabia, where there was a mining operation, and mining operations, you blast. You send shockwaves, you blast up, in this case, lots of ore. There were local Bedouins. The Bedouins said, if you blow up the ore, it sends vibrations through the soil, the camels pick it up, and now the camels are going to give sour milk. And we have a problem with you mining operations because our camels are giving sour milk. So I went back to the company and said, well, there's complaints about sour milk of the camels. And you see, of course, the mining guy saying, sure, really? Really? So we did the risk analysis. Risk, because that's what you do. And it was not a risk analysis with only the community relations people, but with the entire team, including the drilling guys and the operating guys. And the mine manager says, you, operator, you are responsible, your operating manager, you're responsible for the blasting schedule. You're the only one who can actually influence the way we blast. So you go talk to these Bedouins and tell them and ask them, listen to them, what is the issue and what can we do about it? And this was this big guy who had been there for 30 years, his communities, his soft stuff, it doesn't really matter. And the mine manager says, you're the risk owner, you're going to solve this issue. You bring someone that has affinity with how you engage, but you go to talk to these people in a tent. Okay, so they went, they had a chat, had some tea. The guy said, how do I talk to these people? And the community relations guy said, don't worry, they're my friends. I know how to engage. What happened is, because the operations guy was in charge of the blasting schedule and he could listen to what the concerns that people had, half an hour later, the issue was solved. Because he said, first, I'm going to send you a text message. Every Bedouin has a cell phone with text. I can give you a text message when the blasting will happen, but also I'm going to adapt my blasting schedule so that your camels will not be close to the area where we're going to blast. Bedouins were all happy. Half an hour later, the issue was solved. The issue, the morale of the story is, if the community relations person would have gone to the Bedouins, the issue wouldn't have been solved. Because he would come back, he would be seen as, these guys are complaining, they don't understand it. But by taking an integrated approach and actually assigning responsibility to those that are in charge of the decisions that are being made, solve the issue. That's a very simple story, but it goes to the essence of getting the basics right. That's what I wanted to share.